How are you, Richard?
Slightly so.
Well, I'm a little frustrated. I spent all morning getting my car boosted and I thought maybe it was just.
Not many worse than car.
Okay, all this meeting's to order at 4:30. The Kingston Arts Commission on November 13th. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
May I get a motion?
Can I move, was it at the meeting?
No, you're the launch Tuesday. Tell me.
I think I should. Approval.
A second.
Okay. Any questions, comments, changes, updates?
CD.
What question?
No,
Oh,
that was a no. No
Okay.
questions.
okay, all in favor? Yes, all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, all not in favor. Okay, yes, next.
And just to check, Madam Chair, Sarah Costi is online, and Sarah, can you say hello so we can see if we can hear you?
I'll say hello. I'm going to keep the, nice to see you all. I'm going to keep this off just,
Okay,
just so you can, yeah, you don't need to see me. I'll just be listening. But thank you for inviting me to be here.
Congratulations on your recent reappointment.
Thank you. Now I get to continue attending many, many meetings over the next couple of years. Okay, carry on.
I am happy to and delighted to welcome our guest today, Richard Whipson, President of Art Society of Kingston, to discuss the donation terms of Vindor Whipson's art piece downstairs on the second floor, Legacy of Regeneration. I'm wrong on other things, the biennial. But
Right, well, I did write a letter and, I think, I suggested some provision for this, and essentially it's, the idea of putting it on a permanent loan. Just with the provision that if, it should ever, if there should ever be a move to remove it from its place here in City Hall, that we or our heirs would be consulted on that. And otherwise, we would like to make this a permanent gift to the city of Kingston for further display in City Hall and as a memorial to the regeneration that this building represents. We're all about regeneration at ASK.
oh yeah,
So, if there are any things in our suggestion that are, either contrary to law or that folks want to be changed, we can certainly discuss that, but those are our suggestions and we would like to, formalize that and make sure that, that there are some provisions in place should any changes come about in the future. I think it's just a good idea to, since it's sort of like one of our offspring, we'd like to know what happens to it and have some say if it should ever be removed or moved from its place.
any concerns or comments?
I have a comment. It's sort of a bureaucratic one. Removal makes sense, contact the artist, right of first refusal, but change of location, and this is more for a kid. Is it normal that things get moved around in the course of something that's permanent, like painting or flooring? And in your other permanent gifts, has the city had the right to move it within, say, the second floor?
well, isn't
And
that,
is the intent to move it a few feet or down the hall, something that we need to go through the process and give it back if you don't like the location? It seems like
well, I think that would take a review of the municipal art collection plan, because it is mentioned in there as far as moving the art, I think for
removing makes sense.
moving the art, or inventory purposes, because, we're about to go into the inventory, and I think that we will, on the grid, we'll be talking about this particular art is at this location. So if we are moving it, then it will be documented that we're moving it from City Hall. I don't know, police station or, Andy Murphy. But as far as removing it altogether,
That seems reasonable. It's the shifting the location, the way it's written, it's the same.
In the building. So if you moved it from the first floor to if you moved it from the main level to the ground floor side, would that constitute?
Yeah, the way it's written. I don't want to make a big deal out of this. If it's moved, say, down the hallway, the artist can say, I don't like it there, I'm taking it back. Is that the intent?
yes, I do.
I think it should say within City Hall, it's okay. Or something like that. It's
So I
just,
think that when you wrote that, you were talking about moving it to another location in the city of Kingston somewhere, not necessarily at City Hall. I mean, we like,
one that I said, it's not a big deal, but it's the one. So,
yeah,
Good point.
there's one.
So I think in terms of our, position, I don't see that there would be a problem if there were a reason to move it to another location within the building. I think that would be something that we could certainly discuss, and we would express an opinion to that if we're around to do so. But I think in terms of the work itself, it's very much, since it's called Legacy of Regeneration, it's very much attached to the idea of the renewal and rebirth of this building. So that's always been Vendora's intent, is to have it within this building.
So what we're saying here, it was just a easy change that Lester suggested. Future plans for removal or change of location from City Hall.
Mhm.
That needs.
There we go. Yeah. Yes, that would take care
I should have
of
been a lawyer.
it. Yeah, good point.
Because the intent of the donation is for City Hall.
Correct.
Fix them.
Yes.
All right, that was it.
So that kind of covered the,
Yes, that's.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I thought, I was passing it to you, Peter, but you already got that.
okay.
I mean, you may also want to just note that it is site specific to City Hall. As the language is in the public art policy regarding site specific artwork. So,
Right, I think that's
Explicitly
a
saying
good provision to make. I think we mentioned something about that it's part of the context, or the context of the work should be the City Hall, because it is a symbol of the regeneration of this building.
So then and you want to keep the you want to keep the context of with
The work being
The word.
within the City
but the
Hall.
word also. I mean, the word is that you mentioned the
Context.
no, I'm not fine. The explanation of it that's posted next to it.
Yeah, the state text.
The statement, thanks, the text. So,
The statement kind of addresses the connection of that
well,
work.
it should, yeah. But I mean, assuming maybe there's a kind of a show that takes place in City Hall, that would need that space or something. But it could be moved to another space temporarily.
Temporarily, yeah, I don't see.
Is that, I mean,
Well, in that sense, there's a lot of little movements that you guys are talking and taking long-term movement, addressing specific long-term movement, so
Yeah.
that short-term moving is
yeah,
allowed by the standards.
Correct.
so,
Yes, I think that is the intent of
yeah, so it doesn't need special permission for that would.
for a temporary
Yeah.
move. It would maybe just make a phone call, but
Yeah.
kid or whoever is in the director's office should certainly be aware of that. And I think that's your intent, that the artist should have at least knowledge of what's happening with their work when it's displayed here at City Hall.
Especially because it was created specifically, about this building's history. It's different if it's a photograph of the Hudson River. But this particular piece, tell the story about this
Right.
building.
References regeneration. Okay, are we done with that point?
Are we accepting this on these terms? Do you need to formally vote on that? What do you do?
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the terms of, with the changes justified by Lester Berg? To accept this, permanent loan of the artwork.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Right?
gratefully,
Okay.
thank you.
Thankfully given.
Richard,
Thank
would you regenerate this document? Is it still need your signature?
Sure. Could you just email me the changes and I'll tape it out to you.
Okay, next then is
Can you
the,
just give them that copy?
Yeah, we're just gonna make a note.
so next to discuss is the 2026 biennial sculpture exhibition.
Okay. Well, many people know, there is a certain history of this, and I brought along a couple of artifacts to demonstrate the interesting longevity of this activity in Kingston. So the Art Society of Kingston, since 1999, has sponsored a sculpture biennial in Kingston. This, to my knowledge, is the T-shirt that was produced for the very first one, which was noticed the Rondout Sculpture Biennial. It was specifically dedicated to being in the Rondout. Now, that's my knowledge. I think this is the first one
No, I don't think so. It was, the original one, I think was 95 and in Block Park.
in Block Park.
That was 95.
Right. So there may have been some
It was the year
prior to this particular T-shirt, but this certainly represents the kind of the origin story of it. It kind of grew out of the Rondout area and eventually became a citywide sculpture biennial. And finally, this it's not the final one, but in 2005, we had the Ginkgo as the Steve Layden, the late Steve Layden was the curator of that biennial. And it's always been dedicated to the idea of support public art. So if we counted it from 1999, which may not be quite accurate, that would be 11 sculpture biennials that have been held in Kingston. If it was 95, we could add 2 to that, it would be 13, which is a pretty impressive
I
run.
was talking to Chris Gagne about that just the other day. And that was the one with the gun in it. There was a big controversy about it. Do you remember that, Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was 95. Oh,
I have to look back.
It could very well be, in any case, a long history.
yes.
And so my thought, and I'm really here kind of to research or think off a sort of feasibility study, is to find out if it would be feasible to renew the sculpture biennial. The last one that was held was 2019, immediately before the pandemic, and with the pandemic, that along with many other things fell by the wayside and has not been taken up since then. So the question arises, since we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and there's going to be a lot of celebrations and festivities surrounding that. Would it be appropriate? So I guess I'm throwing that question out to the City Arts and Culture Commission. Do you think that is something that might fit in with the context of all these other celebrations that will take place? My point that I would like to make very strongly is that although we were able to put these sculpture biennials up with minimal support. Look, no support, I think, beyond maybe the first couple where TR put a couple $1,000 into each of those. I don't think that that is an appropriate. I don't think the Art Society has the resources or the personnel in order to make that happen on our own. So I would be looking for allies and organizations that would be willing to take part in some kind of a sort of subcommittee of the Art Society that would be formed in order to carry this thing forward. I think failing that, we would not be able to just generate this renewal on our own. But with some allies in the community, we might be able to do it. We are a little bit late in the day. I think these things have normally been almost restarted. They used to run July through October. And pretty much in, November and December of the year of the sculpture biennial, somebody would start thinking about, well, what about the next one? And so since we're in November and fast approaching December of the year before we're talking about doing this rather than having a year in between, here's a thought. And since the original ones were held in the Rondout and were a little smaller and were dedicated to raising the profile of that neighborhood, which is our neighborhood, perhaps we could think about a sort of prelude show in 2026 to coincide with the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration, and then have the main show be in 2027 and essentially go back to the rotation of having a biennial in the odd numbered years. That would allow us to kind of ramp up to this. So just as a for instance, we might make this prelude show a show with 6 curated sculptures, restricted to 6, 1776, 2026. It's kind of a logical number. And, make it something that is not going to be too difficult to mount between now and July of 2026, and have that kind of be the proof of concept, with the idea that we would essentially, with the prelude show, launch the big show 1 year later. Just a thought in terms of basically practicality. Any comments or reactions to that idea? Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just would like a better definition of allies / resources. What is it you're exactly looking for? Willing hands and bodies or cash?
That too, and we would also, I would say the budget for the show, the style that we used to do it, which is a citywide sculpture biennial with 25, 30, 35 pieces in it, would be something on the order of $20,000 for that main show. That's why I'm suggesting that maybe to get it started, we wanted to do a sort of a prelude that would be the proof of concept. That could be done for less money, and perhaps the curator of that show, who might, at least get an honorary of some hundreds of dollars or $1,000, could also then be the person who curates the big show in 2027, which would, in terms of the budget, I think you're talking $20,000.
2 locations in the Rondout scouted that could handle installation of sculpture?
Well, we've done them, for example, in front of the Maritime Museum. We've done them in certain spots on the median. I remember one very well that Bennett Wine did, I think before he curated the last one in 2019. But he had in a prior show, he had a wonderful piece in which he photographed everything. It was basically down in the block with Simona's, the lower block approaching TR Gallo Park, but on the median. And the sculpture was kind of a square plywood structure that had some things coming out and hanging from it at the top. But the main thing that he did was to make large scale photographs, you know, kind of like these automobile wraps that you see or on buses. And each side of this square kind of tower reflected what you saw in that direction. It was very, not exactly disorienting, but it was a very interesting concept put down, and people really enjoyed that piece. But yes, there are several places. Gallo Park is another one, and along the walkway would be a logical place for those. So I don't think it would be difficult to cite 6 sculptures if we kept it as a limited show for this prelude show. I think we could easily find 6 spaces in the Rondout. That way it would also be a little more concentrated, a little more focused. It would be a little bit of a different concept of the sculpture biennial. And I think it would be a nice lead in and kind of ramp up to something bigger that could be essentially introduced by this smaller show. Those are my thoughts.
Are you thinking this would be thematic if it's in 26? That would tie in.
One thing that's occurred to me is to make the theme freedom of expression.
Oh.
Huh?
But you did say, for this prelude, you already have the sculpture from the first.
No, we don't have any. We would have to do a call for entries. If we were doing this prelude show, everything would be scaled to that, you know, smaller, more focused, more concentrated idea. And I personally, that just happens to be a thought that occurred to me, that we could make the theme of both of these, since we're celebrating the Declaration of Independence, and then the 1777, we're celebrating what?
We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War, starting last year, and the end was 2027. Also, the 200th anniversary of the emancipation of slaves.
Mhm.
And I think there's another one. Of those.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a whole, right, there's a whole stretch of recognition, historic celebration that I think we could latch on to and productively use, among other things, to raise money.
Well, there's a whole lot to be said about revolution. So, I mean, that word in itself really drawn up some very, very incredible creative.
I think that, you know, certainly freedom of expression was and is central to the American experiment. So there you have it.
Did you have something before I asked my question?
Do have some things, but I'm not, it kind of lost its moment.
I also go to your catalogs of yours.
Sure.
Because when you open each catalog from each biennial sculpture exhibition, you see this long list of committee members. And that's what you were referring to, I think, when we were talking about the advocacy and the, you know, we were talking hands-on. We're not just talking about, sure, I support you, I'll write you a letter. And I noticed that you had members from here. I don't know, Sue, you were working here when you were involved. DPW, the director of DPW was on the committee. You had several. So I think that would be a good start to, you know, look at the catalogs from the last, you know, the last several, and, you know, see if any of those people would be, you know, still available and sign on. It's a different world that we're in right now. And then as far as funding is concerned, I have no answers to that right now. I know that we don't have, the city is not, does not have a grant program that we are, offering to arts organizations at this point. But I'm sure that we could sit together and look at, the, possible funding, might be able to spend some time with Roseanne.
Right, Mayor Noble mentioned, city, Ruth Ann, the, city person that's, focused on grants. So, we would certainly interface with anyone that has expertise and connections and, the ability to hopefully, make it rain on this, particular project and see if we could, pull something together. My main point in saying that, we need some kind of halfway decent budget is just that we have almost exhausted the curators each time they do this because they take it on. And I don't think anybody realizes what a massive undertaking it truly is. So it's I think it's very unfair to expect someone to do the curation and the organization that has to be done for these shows from fall for entries to the judging and curation of it all, to helping to get the stuff out there and figure out if we can weld it to the overpass of in front of the Colonial Gardens there, whatever it was. This was the mirror, which we had hoped. I forget which year this was, but it was a mirror that kind of came out at an angle on the old trolley overpass that's kind of at the foot of Garrigan Drive. And the original intent was to put it on Broadway, but the city nixed that because they said it would. What happened was when you drove under it, right, you would see the reflection of your car in this mirror. It was a very large mirror that was mounted, and they proposed mounting it on the overpass on Broadway. But the city said, no, that's not a great idea because people will be going like this and have an accident. So, but it did get mounted on the entrance to that, the housing unit there at the foot of Garrigan Drive. And it was an interesting process.
So your budget, would be for a curator, but what else?
A curator, and I could come up with a list if I sat down for a few minutes, just in terms of historical needs. But everything associated with it, which might include some materials, support for artists who need help with installing it. By the way, in terms of the list of people that you saw there, I'm sure that in the 2019 catalog, we would have listed Herzog Supply because how many people remember the giant rocking horse that was in front of the lace mill? That was made of steel. And it required a boat truck from Herzog's to get it off of the specially made trailer for this thing and put it down in front of the lace mill. And then at the end of the sculpture biennial, again, they picked it up and put it back on the trailer so it could go back to Kansas. So people like that are the ones I think that are oftentimes listed in the list of folks that have collaborated with us. There's all sorts of specialized things that come up. That was a voluntary thing, but there are things that come up that, if we're going to put this thing up, it are going to require some kind of materials or equipment or other things that will help to get the sculptures in place.
How possible would it be for the board members and their committee members to be hands-on with this, or is everybody real tied up already with a lot of responsibility?
I think we would try to, it would be limited in terms of what our board members could do. I think
It's a different world now from before COVID to today.
of course, but I think what we need to do is find a group of people that would kind of form a steering committee, and I am envisioning like 3, 4, maybe 5 people. Some people from Ask, some people from among our alliances. If anyone here wanted to,
Well, that's what I'm
jump up
thinking.
and-
I'm going to cut you off, but I'm thinking
Sure.
that this is, again, before COVID was a different world. There are more people with a whole lot more time that were probably involved with the board. The board has gone through some changes since then, a few changes.
A few.
And now, breaking back into the world, if you will, the rejuvenation, if you will, of the past. It's to me tender because there's so much laid on a small group of people.
It's people doing too much work.
Right. So, is this just an art society of Kingston, or is this a project for a partnership with several organizations?
Exactly that. I think it can be a partnership with several organizations. That's why I'm suggesting a steering committee that would draw from, it could be some of the clubs that are in Kingston, the Kiwanis or other groups that, like to do community things and would like to delegate a person to be on this steering committee. So I think
Well, I guess what I'm asking is that if this is not going to be just an ask, if this is going to be ask,
and
I'm going to just throw out a gallery that takes this on, a private gallery, not a nonprofit, and then a nonprofit, then you have 3 lead organizations that it's on, so it's not just, the weight is not just, does ask want to do this solo?
I'd have to talk to the board about that, but my feeling is that they would like to do it with other people because we have recognized that this is this can easily lead to burnout. And that we really, at this time, as you say, do not have the resources to continue what we have always been doing, which is to put this thing up by hook or by crook with a whole lot of volunteers.
And money for the arts is tight. I'm going to ask our fundraising expert at the table, DJ, because he's got his eyes on all of this. If Ruzanne was here, she could also advise on that. I just see some real tight times. I was worried about funding for the arts before COVID. And now in the times that we're in going into next year, I'm even more concerned because of what's going on. So, that's why I guess understanding what the budget for this would be and how many hands. And if you don't have volunteers, then how many paid kids or whatever do you need to make this rock? Could there be a partnership with the community college, with BARD, with
I think
Billy?
a very good idea. We have partnered with Marist, for example. They did a whole, with the business department, they did a whole kind of study of Ask as a business and created a report of this is your status, this is what we think you're doing right, this is what we think you might try to add on in order to be more effective. So yeah, we partnered with academic institutions before, and I welcome doing that. I went to a chamber breakfast where Dr. Wheeler was speaking from SUNY New Paltz, and his whole speech was about the fact that academia needs to be connected with its communities and be very, very much in touch with its various constituencies and communities. And I said, well, I've got something for you here, the Art Society of Kingston and so forth. And I did get a couple of very good contacts there with people that, might be able to advise us. So yes, reaching
Where
out.
I'm going, Richard, with this, I'm sorry, Richards. Our friend who is in the sculpture department of SUNY New Paltz. Your neighbor.
Emily
Yeah.
Putos?
Huh?
Emily Putos?
Yes. To approach perhaps that department, we have the engineering department of SUNY that
That's
is
an
a partner. We have the museum studies department took on the work progress administration. And with this engineering department, they're taking on our lunettes for life. This is a project that they're taking on for life. So what is the possibility? Asking Richard, because Richard is friends with one of the faculty members there.
Yeah, that would be, I think that's an excellent idea. Because again, as you said, Wheeler had mentioned, connecting with community, which is, easy to say, but here's an opportunity that really is for real. And they are always looking out. I mean, this is the sculpture department is SUNY New Paltz as a revival department. It's really dynamic, and ambitious, and I would be happy to,
Great.
I'd also like to suggest that you talk to Cicely and Casey at Bard.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because we need them, they have both said in meetings where I've been sitting that they'd like to get involved in things, so it's
Right.
the carrot in front of them. I do have something I want to add to Kit's previous comments. It is a very strange fundraising time for the arts. Because people were concerned about housing and food and disease prevention, the arts will naturally take a back seat. Other than the giants, Ford, Mellon, Rockefeller, and this is so much more concentrated in a smaller Hudson Valley city. We may need to look for more significant individuals with some deep pockets as well as looking in the institutional realm. Number two on my concern was, excuse me, 6 installations for 2026 will be followed immediately by 2027. So we would need to be thinking long range with fundraising, not just one particular function. In fact, we're turning to a multi-year situation here. So when we're picking people to assist us with 26, we're going to need to think about their ability to keep our heads above water for the following year. Or if that's not possible, as we watch the national situation change, then maybe we wait till 29. It's just a thought in my head there. And I'm watching my own research and capture going like this right now. And this is just jumping up to something brand new on the menu of what's going on in the valley. Then I'll talk about the community foundation in the Hudson Valley. I'll look at Dyson. Just toss it out there that we're trying to do something significant for 250 and to reinitiate our biennial and make it a very attractive opportunity for people. But there was also those foundations, institutions, but then there are the people. And that's what I think we need to look at. You said the past catalogs, good place to start. We could use Wealth Edge or whatever to look at who was in your team last time and see where they stand. I'll be quiet, I'm talking fundraising.
I think it's, the prelude is a great idea. I think because it hasn't happened in 5 years and a lot of our demographic has changed. A lot of artists are now full-time that were never before. And it's a new wave of artists in this city. And this would whet their interests, their palettes for what could be possible. And you might be able to, you could be strategic in terms of garnering partners and allies by doing a very targeted, drawn out by a sculpture event, and see what's possible from there. It might even be a good time to partner with SUNY New Paltz to see if it could work for a larger scale citywide thing. It's nicer to have an easier lift for partners to see how they could work together in that respect.
So
Anyway,
just in sum, I think that, Kit's idea of going out there and, we maybe first need a meeting between you and me and really make a good list of where we should go to look for those alliances and partnerships. But
Right,
yes,
let's start with the two colleges. From there, you still have your executive directors meeting once monthly. Perhaps you could start to have visits to those meetings because Lisa gathers all the executive directors. Is it just nonprofits or is it just arts?
nonprofits or low profits. One profit businesses that are very geared towards like a nonprofit sense of spirit. So
might as well be a non.
so they call themselves low profits, yeah.
I'm just thinking, this is also, this sort of fits into the realm of public art that we've been talking about, which isn't for funding, but it's for, but for, it fits into the structure of what we've talked about. But I'm also thinking of something like O Positive, which has been, doing, they've been involved in murals, and I think, this sort of maybe another, an alternative project also for them that they'd be interested in. Because I get the sense that they're also trying to turn to other things. So I'm,
Could be a
I think could be a partner
partner.
in discussions that I
Solve.
Pardon?
Yeah, so we're talking alliance, building
Yeah.
alliance
Yeah.
first, people that will say, we're signing on to this. And then from there, leverage the resources, integrate the services together. That's your body. The city is already involved because you have planning, you have DPW, you can't move without engineering, you have to move it all heart to heart.
Oh, yeah.
But also you have the county now has the arts and culture and open spaces. And that I think would, need the blessing of that as well as the advocacy of that. Perhaps there's even funding coming out of that department.
Sure.
So anyway, this is gonna take a lot longer than this, but I'm glad that you came to,
I wanted to get the ball.
get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe you and I can meet in the next or two
Sure.
to just talk about making the list.
Yeah, the only thing is, I think it's really, I agree with the way you opened. That it might be ambitious to say that you're gonna be doing 6 by next July.
Yeah.
Cause it's already here. So let's
So you're thinking
see what the partners say.
yeah, sure.
And that's not gonna be easy to get their attention right now. It's finals and then winter break and then January. So we're looking at probably having a lot of conversations as snow falls. Once we have those conversations and buy-ins from, stakeholders and what have you, because, even the Rondat Business Association, I think that you get, let's do it again, because so many people love this.
Correct.
And I think that, like Lisa said, there's a lot of new artists, there's a lot of new people here that want to be involved. So
So do you think that ramping up with the smaller version in the rundown and then a bigger version?
little something next year.
Yeah,
Something.
let's make something happen.
Little something.
Show that it can be done,
Little
show
warm
that
up.
it,
So that they can know that there's something coming in 27 that's.
absolutely.
Big, and then, maybe 29 would be citywide. Wasn't this citywide at one point?
Oh, yes, yes.
It went back and forth. I mean, one year was in the steel, in what was the steel mill now,
The Seal House,
steel
yeah.
house, now, Cornell. And then other times it was all over.
Oh, yeah, it was in, like I said, usually it was somewhere between 25 and 35 pieces, and they were throughout the city. It was a citywide event, but as I said, I think maybe starting small, and I think there is a fair amount of energy in the rundown these days, and I think it would be a very nice kind of way to get this back on some kind of a takeoff. That's what I'm looking to do with it. But let's be realistic. I'll be in touch with you and let's meet whenever it's convenient,
Second
but
week.
within the next couple of weeks, before Thanksgiving certainly. And we'll start making that list. Check it twice. See who's naughty and nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you
Okay,
for coming
well,
by.
thank you for allowing me to
Yeah.
launch that idea and hopefully we'll make another T-shirt and.
You just want an excuse to make another T-shirt.
But interesting historical art. Thanks a lot. I think, yes, you're very welcome. I think that, you'll hear from us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make ourselves heard.
Great. All right, next up is the ground floor gallery lighting update.
Quick announcement, our electrician, who has been recently hired, will be installing the lighting on Saturday. Probably gonna go into Sunday. He'll be in this building pretty much all day, installing the gallery lighting.
So it's here, it's in-house.
The lighting is in Ruth Ann's office.
They had it in the building.
So thanks to Ruth Ann
Awesome.
for getting this
Thank you,
moving.
Ruthann. It's a long time coming.
We enter the building by Monday, you'll see these tracks, and we are installing the exhibition next Friday, so it'll be our test run, but we will have the lighting installed by Sunday, I believe.
Excellent.
It shall be light.
And what this will do is just without, not even talking about the artwork, just making it a welcoming place. Instead of a movie.
It's been a long time coming, I mean,
It's
you
a
all
long time coming.
designated the ground floor as the official gallery a long time ago.
And this commission has
And,
tried to do it for years, and finally we've got it. It's great.
Thanks to Ruth Ann.
Yes.
Crazy.
Excellent. So a short update on the Distinguished Artist Award. I'm putting a proposal together for my board at NCAD regarding supporting a fundraiser for the additional 1,500 to continue the cash award for the Distinguished Artist. If the board is not up for it, then another nonprofit could be tapped to do that. $1,500 is not a big lift. And Mayor, could you articulate it best what the mayor said about the commissioners being able to point to the donation button, not lobby or anything, or
Commissioners can't go say, can you give me money?
yeah,
The commissions that they, were you aware that there's a fundraiser? And, you know, it's for a good cause and this blah, 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 and
there's the button.
there's the button right there. So it's directly soliciting is, not, something that we could do, but certainly pointing them to the website or pointing them through to the sponsorship page or whatever, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Glad we got that ironed out because we've been going around and around on this for years.
Yes.
I remember a couple of years ago, well, a few years ago, when I first started, the commission wanted to raise funds. Commission wanted to raise, funds for the Harriet Tubman statue and blocked. You can't do that.
Right.
However, you know, since we studied this with the comptroller and, corporation counsel and the mayor, it's certainly not a crime to, in your volunteer time, to talk to your friends and family and colleagues, say, there's a fundraiser going on, or property administration, repairs or Distinguished Artist Award. So that's fine.
Yeah. So I'm in touch with Dina and Cicely to find a date to get together and hammer out the timeline. In the meantime, we can engage in the process, particularly this year, pulling testimonials from prior awardees about the impact of having received the award, sort of content that could also be helpful for fundraising, and pull it together in January and then run hard and fast for the fundraiser to February and March in the midst of the open call for nominations or submissions. No, nominations. So yeah, so that's all in process. And yeah, anyone have any questions? Anything that I'm missing?
How did Matthew's show go?
That was amazing.
It was-
I didn't catch up with him after the end, but I was able to go. I was able to squeeze in to go, and it was so well attended, and it was just really amazing. It was really amazing. The scope of his work and the fact that he just brought his whole life as an artist on display was just. And to see all the support of his family and friends and collectors. He had a lot of his collector friends there. And yeah, he was just thrilled. He was thrilled. It's a beautiful space for what he had to display. Yeah.
It was exciting. It was,
It's gone, right?
It ended, yeah, at the end of October.
but he, I was there when he was, I didn't come to the opening, it was,
Oh.
but it was there when, I was there when just a few people were there, but great chance to talk to him because he's he's so much a part of Kingston. He came from Kingston. He came from, through the school system and he was always working. His art, that was an important thing, to show your artwork. And you could see him developing themes when he was 5 years old. You could see that it's like, it was quite an amazing thing and something very unusual. And I hope we can in some way capitalize on that, use it, not just one show. I don't know. These distinguished artists, I don't know, it shouldn't just be a one-shot thing. I'm not sure what I'm thinking, but to make it so much more part of the culture here.
Well, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't potentially, like, if we had a project or exhibition space for a prior awardee to.
Well, probably to bring prior awardees in.
Yeah.
As, just
Once
keep
we
it
have-
going, so it's not just, it doesn't happen and then die. And you have to, and then you have to find it in the archives. It becomes living, and that's just.
Or like the alumni wall of fame.
Uh,
They have, the distinguished artist, alumni hall of fame, wall of fame. A dedicated wall to their work. But we can continue to mention to
Inaugurate that.
From who? Can we get a donation from?
If the artists donate.
or temporarily loan.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, something that just.
If we're talking strictly visual, there are other artists.
Yeah, it limits if you're talking, some of that depends on what the media
What the media is.
artist is working at.
Because like Laura Hope could put her on wall.
But even performance,
Yeah,
you bring performance
You
even.
can get you back to give you a space and you can put an author up there to read something and have a discussion. Rachel Madden works for Chris Hayes, who worked for the literary person as well.
So it's the same thing.
It's just a broader idea than just say, oh, it's not narrowed down. It's big, we need to be conceptual and creative.
Well, I now know what television news you watch. But, no, that's really, it's finding formats.
Yeah.
It's not the people, we got the people, it's the formats.
We can have a dancer, we need to give them space to be a distinguished artist and to show us what they do.
And how you repeat it.
Yeah.
And,
How much money do we need to raise?
For the Distinguished Artist Award, minimum
I've asked for-
1,500.
500 in my budget,
Right.
according to the mayor, you're talking 15. So 15 people times $100.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That's what we're down to, man.
Yeah.
Commissioners.
It's not ugly. Please.
Anyone ahead? Thanks.
Oh, my God.
$100 brownies.
Wait, was that?
What's it?
Gold flake and
Yeah, exactly.
et cetera.
Yeah.
All right, we can. We might be, there's so much. So hard. Oh. Never mind. Thinking of another.
Calm down, Lester. Okay.
So
So, yeah.
you're gonna meet with Dina and Cicely.
Yeah.
At a time when.
Yeah, before the next meeting, we'll have it all sorted.
Okay, so
Yeah.
That's what we promised.
I think that also. Director's update?
Okay, so there's been a number of months since I provided you with a written. This is gonna go as part of my end of the year annual, presenting to the Common Council, presenting to the public. I have more work to do on it, and I definitely need to condense it to Vegas. But just walking through since May, I have to say that I was just so pleased to get a letter from Dr. Wheeler about, hosting the statue, and I wrote him back and thanked him for choosing us. It was really an honor to have the Sojourner Truth for Step to Freedom statue here. We really put on a great big party for the major installation and, the other, subsequent, events, the Freedom Exhibition, the youth piece, all was done by hand. I think we did a marvelous job. It left us in August. It's now standing in front of the Ulster County building. So in March, it will move to the city of Newburgh. And then in September, it will be permanently installed at Cindy DePaul Sojourner Truth Library. And I've offered Dr. Wheeler anything he needs from me as far as, that celebration. I'm sure our partners, all the historians and everything will, be there with bells on as well. So moving on to our upcoming December 6th, 250 years of American voices, stories, histories, celebration of America's semi-centennial. That's a word that Ruthie really loathes. But
What?
semi-centennial. Just can't stand that word. She's like, I don't like it. What is it about the word? But, oh my God, she doesn't like it. It's triggering for her. But anyway, the call for art, as you know, went out in August. We got 66 submissions. Many of those had nothing to do with the theme. So when we did, when we by the deadline, we for the panel, if you want to go to the panel, the selection volunteers comprised, or those invited, were from Kingston Arts Commission, the Public Art Committee, and the staff of City Hall. And I can't tell you enough how many people were so excited to be a part of this, because after all, this is their home, there feels that they should have a say in what goes on the wall. And, generally since the inception of the ACA, the staff comes in and they see the art on the wall and they say, how nice. This is the first year, actually, that the staff were invited. Many regretted they didn't have time. But those who, actually got to participate are still coming. Now they're coming in my office. Can I see? Did any of mine get selected? They're just so excited. And it's so good to have, the engagement from within. So we actually, from the Arts Mid-Hudson funding the $3,000 for our program on December 6th, we are thanking also for those who assisted with the call for art, that is asked, CPW, for not, and Manage Raw. There were so many organizations that put it out to their list. We got like incredible show coming up of Kingston Jason area artists. Casey Robertson for developing the call for art. Just, so many people just put their hands on this. So here you have the run of show, if you will, for that day. It's ambitious, yes, but I also feel that the ambition stems from the fact that this is a major milestone, not only for the city of Kingston, but for the nation. So we will have, as you see, the ground floor will open at 1:30. I'm opening up earlier to give people a chance because this is also the first Saturday. And there's a lot of things going on because it's the first Saturday in December. So I'm opening earlier than normal and I'm closing later than normal to give people a chance to come in and out as they wish, especially to see the art, but also because we have so much going on upstairs that afternoon. This is to me representative of everything that we are as a country, but it's not going to be all easy to look at. Or hear about, but it's all going to be the voices through the visual arts and also the performing arts. So I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see all the commissioners there. And if you're able to come, if you're able to lend a hand, the council chambers will be in sound checks until we open those doors. So I might ask for more docents from the Pugsters. Lisa will
Okay,
reach out to you and Beth about that.
great.
Because last year, well, it was a major installation actually, where Cicely and DJ and Dina were guarding the door. It was rough because people were trying to get in, get a seat.
Mhm.
But I just think that there's gonna be a good flow. We're gonna flip the room. This is Radio Kingston's visual new idea. So we're flipping the council chambers. We're gonna close the curtains. Because they're going to videotape, they're videotaping everything we do. And when you see our videotapes, you see the council chambers and you see the backdrop is not conducive. We were in there today and we closed the curtains. The room was completely dark. This does well for lighting. So the back of the council chambers will be our stage. And Radio Kingston will be where the common council sits. So you do have egress in the back, but people will not be walking in and going, oops, and then having to squeeze around to go find a seat. It won't matter because everything's in the back of the room. So you can move around as you wish, come and go as you wish, and not worry about, everybody looking at you if you have to leave. It's real,
That's quite a turnover of the building, of the room.
it is. But just strong young men doing it.
Yeah, that's great.
Radio Kingston did it one time, and it's really not a heavy lift. It goes fast. Carlos was doing it by himself.
Benches. Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah.
Benches are so heavy. Yeah.
So that's the close. Anybody have any questions, thoughts?
There were, very petty, but there are a couple of times when you referred to 2025, which is supposed to be 2026 or vice versa or something. I can send them to you in the reports,
Oh,
but they're just very petty, but it's just because this is a record.
yeah. Okay. If there's any corrections, you'll send them.
Yeah,
So as you know, we did, gonna move on. As you know, we did Kingston Colonial Days, the history that shapes us. This is our standard. This logo, thanks to Frank Waters. Our new standard logo for Kingston Colonial Days. When we take a break from Burning of Kingston years, Kingston Colonial Days will be what we do. And basically it's a placeholder, but also is not the burning, but it is pretty much, still keeping with what happened during the colonial days. And a lot happened with this event. The Friday night event, the video will be forthcoming. We had standing room only at Old Dutch Church, and that was for the enslaved women's voices. I can't even say enough about that night and the talent that was on that stage and the statements that were being made through the arts. A lot of painful things were said, but my goodness, still hearing about it. I'm hearing about it from here to Seattle. Because we did have visitors in Kingston that they were here for Old Positive the week before, and they were staying a week. They do it every year, and they kind of stumbled on this and they came. We had also a lot of visitors from out of town who were here from the foliage because we finally had some that weekend. So I thought that because it was Friday and not a normal traffic situation for the stockade, that we would not have the draw, but it was standing room only. And closing with Evelyn Clark was incredible. Saturday, we learned kind of the hard way that we should have any of these solo discussion pieces should be at Person House. They should not be at Old Dutch because the Person House looks like it's overflowing, whereas Old Dutch, the 250 seater, it looks empty. It's like
it was such a great.
It was a great lineup.
It was terrific.
We had, Joe Diamond speaking about the archaeology of Kingston. We had the Pine Street Burial Ground talks. We had a screening of the Stockbridge Muncie Mohican history. And, then it ended up with a panel discussion among the local historians. And at least an average 30 people came, but again, it could have felt better if it wasn't at a big church. But we thank Old Dutch Church for giving us the church every single weekend, third weekend of October. So moving on,
Can I just, I just want to, because I'm going to say something I've said many times before, but it fits right with what what you've just described. And continuing, it's not just the burning of Kingston, but Colonial Days. This is Kingston's holiday. This observance, and it's so identified with Kingston that building building this in any way and creating collaborations and alliances, using it to create collaborations and alliances. I mean, if it's follows on the heels of O Positive Festival, maybe there should be also some kind of connection to make it as big as possible, because I think this is a wonderful it's become a wonderful event. It's become more than just a tourist event. It's become something that's ours, that's Kingston's, and our history and what we and how it relates to what's happening today.
Going into July, because you have the report, we have this report from the previous months. To me, the 4th of July was down to 1,000. I was looking for the Latinos that would make that statement. It was sparse by comparison to last year. All had a good time. Blue Andrews was terrific. We had a bunch of bar kids come in, and you could tell they were from the dance department because they were dancing with Drew and everybody was watching, and it was incredible. It was a good time. It was a safe time. Thanks to the DPW, fire, and especially the police department, everything went very well. Dorian Schofield bought a serious following on July 16th. Did a great job. The Soul Purpose Band at the beach, that was excellent. And we should have more concerts there under the pavilion. Because the beachgoers were there, but also a lot of people, the bands were bringing their following to the beach. We got lucky this year and we had great weather this summer. Last summer, as you remember, I had to reschedule these concerts. So much to the point that I'm tempted to schedule the few concerts that we have in the parks during the week, in the middle of the week, so I don't take away their weekend gigs. Because a lot of these people live on that money. And so they can get gigs at a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the venues. And if I take away that Saturday night, then you're out of the money until I reschedule them.
It's 9.
The art walk was fantastic. I don't know if anybody got to go to the art walk this year, but we are partners in the art walk because we do the live performance art at TR Gallo every year, and Joe loves it. The Pablo Shine Latin Jazz Ensemble this year featured Carlos Valdez, who's been up and down Broadway. He's amazing. And Nancy Ostrowski doing live performance art with them. And it was pretty packed down there. I was really surprised because, you know, you kind of have people that kind of trickle in and out because it is the art walk and they'll stay for a little while, listen to the music, but they kept them there. Couldn't find a bench to sit on, so it's pretty cool. I was happy with this series overall. So as you know, we got two grants. We got a sponsorship. We got the Arts Mid-Hudson grant. We're waiting for NISCA. Ruthann said that we should hear from NISCA next month, right, DJ? And hopefully we will get, I know other people are waiting to hear from NISCA as well. So hopefully we're going to get our good release. Been positive about that. So municipal art collection inventory. Moving on. We, as you know, sent out the request for space in August. And I just want to thank Ward because Ward actually got a lot of incredible people to apply. They're on our roster. It's very difficult for you all to decide on who, and the decision with the Greater Hudson Heritage Network, working on that agreement and hope to start them on December 1st. The May 31st deadline is just in case, because we're walking into a period where we're having the holidays now and we're walking into winter. And they will have to come up here to do this job. It's not something that they do with their computer. So if the weather is not doing well, we certainly don't So we just went ahead and said, we're done by May 31st. We just don't think it's gonna take that long, probably gonna be done by March. And I will keep you posted on that. And, I think that,
Oh, I don't mean to interrupt. Oh, no, wait. I was just wondering what the status of the pending agreement is.
oh, it's in, the mayor's desk and Barbara Grace Collar's desk reviewing. And hopefully, like I said, I'm saying December 31st, I'm December 1st, but hopefully it could be sooner than that. Getting all the signatures and getting encumbered, the funding encumbered.
Got it.
But I think, perhaps when they do start, they should visit the Kingston Arts Commission and talk to you all about,
For the December meeting?
yeah, maybe it's up to you. I don't, we usually have quite a few things to go over for the end of the year, but I think it would be good. And maybe they, instead of making them have a trip in, they can zoom in. And then go over their schedule, timeline, and, advise on anything, but at least hear where, Greater Hudson Heritage Network, you know, they're looking at discovery, but they're also looking at getting a lot done. And I just think that what we're paying them, this is my personal opinion, is very low by comparison to the work that they're looking to get done for us. I'm really grateful that they're on board.
Great. Well, if it can fit on the agenda, I think it'd be a great idea for us to
Okay,
have a
so,
conversation.
well, so that's strategy 5. And what you have here is pending, funding approvals. Everything that I'm looking to do for 2026 relates to the exhibition, America's Voices, Stories, Histories. So I've given you an idea here of what that looks like. And, you know, we'll see what happens once we hear from the funding sources. The burning of Kingston tentative schedule, as you see, we're just about done, and it's the first year that's been done by January. So, and, you know, we're looking at more realistic things, talking about projections, like what happened during the burning, because we've been doing battle scenes for years, and the battle didn't even occur here. It occurred in Saratoga, occurred down in Westchester. But it's such a staple now that, you know, if we ever yank the battle scene, I think that we might get banned from the popularity list for life. But we're looking to actually phase out of that, and the reenactors, we've been having meetings with that, and you actually simulate what really happened during the burn. Because, you know, the more we sit with the historians, the more we understand that, you know, some of the residents were trying to fight back. They were shooting, they were doing something, they weren't just like running. That, you know, there was a lot of flame because it got lit on fire, but there was action going on. But it was a peaceful time when the British came into that area. So we're hoping to make it more realistic. We've got new exhibits coming into the Senate House. You know, bringing back the encampments and just the visual. Hoping to do more with the medicine, the apothecary, that makes it more realistic.
And where does the Colonial Days fit into this? Is it also like the sub name?
No,
Or
the Kingston Colonial Days is during the off year. We will have to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
2026 and 2027.
Got it.
At 2027, we're taking a break, and in 2028, we'll bring back Kingston Colonial Days.
Okay, got it.
So that's the other line report.
Wow, bravo. Yes. Thank you very much. It's amazing. Yeah, I think our city is grateful for your lifting up of the historical and cultural significance of the city in all of the facets. I think it's really a beautiful thing.
There are so many curious people around here. They want to know about Kingston, want to know about Kingston's history. And yes, I think that a lot of the historical societies are doing great presentations, but I think that what taught that Friday of the Kingston Colonial Days is that we were doing it through the arts. We were doing it through jazz, we were doing it through vocals, we were doing it through poetry. We were doing it through live painting, which you will see the results of that, because she was painting as Kate Hines performed her Burning of Kingston, the poem that she wrote for the Burning of Kingston is brilliant. And Nancy was painting what she heard from the jazz to Kate's voice and Kate's words. What you're going to see when we install that show on Friday, you're going to see the art that was a result of that. And that kept everybody captivated. You know, so you had all this stuff going on the stage at the same time, and you had these words, and you were like feeling these words, and you said, "Oh my God, this is painful." But you know, at the same time, you were actually building your picture. You were getting the whole picture. You know, so there's all these different movements going on. Actually, I think that is probably the causal factor of the audience is growing for that particular evening. And so Saturday night next year is going to be Showtime as well. Going to bring in poets to tell, we're going to bring in organists, we're going to have projections so that people just see, feel, you know, live. I mean, I love a good lecture myself, but I think people are really interested in seeing Sampson come to life, and you just saw her. This is an actress who portrays Deborah Sampson, the female who dressed in as a soldier, and she fought in the Revolutionary War. And one part of her story that's really profound is that she was shot 3 times, twice in the leg and once in the shoulder. So she allowed them to take care of her shoulder, and then she ran away and she pulled the bullets out of her leg herself. She sewed herself up and she went back and she continued to fight in the Revolutionary War. That character is coming to life next Burning of Kingston Saturday. This is the kind of stuff that we're bringing outwardly. And what I'm really happy about is that Richard has been hammering on this for a long time. What actually happened during the burning? Can we reenact that? That's going to happen. Not this year, not 26, but by 2027, the actual, 250th at the end of the Revolutionary War, the reenactors who have been with us for 30 years and young people that are coming in, they've actually said that they can actually simulate that. And the projection has said she can actually simulate fire on the grounds. So at least we can have a block.
And what I've also brought up, as you know, is the concept of the refugees and tying it into the day.
Right. So, can we just go to the question that Richard had about UV and the art? You had a question about that, but I think that you might bring to the table. We got a couple of minutes.
About, say,
UV, the Bedway Fall.
oh, yeah, actually,
The
I'm
gallerist for a question.
I'm in the middle of that right now, and I in fact, when you caught me the earlier texting, I was hearing it was the gallery calling me, and I was telling them I'd talk to them tomorrow. One of the concern, the Ben Woodfall work that we were going to bring in has just been at an exhibit up in the exhibit up in Germantown, and it was up there for 5 months. There was a lot of light, window light, and something that I hadn't really realized, and actually it was Gino brought it up, and then but it also came up in a conversation with the gallery. Several of the various weavings, there are only 6 of them extant, and they are weavings, and they're quite valuable, and they were out in the light for about 5 months. And what's supposed to happen is that, and then prints were out there, up there too. Prints and weavings should be up for no more than 90 days in a controlled area, and then given a rest. So the thing is, I talked to Ruth Ann, who's confirmed that the lighting here, the new lighting has no UV, and that's the problem, UV emissions. It's because they're LED lights, and
We might have to take this because they got a big meeting coming up.
Yeah.
pardon? Okay. So I'm in the middle of working this out, whether we can use these works, or whether it's safe to have a weaving of Mary's But I'm in the middle of finding this, you know, whether it's Gino Benson is very concerned about this, and so
Okay, so keep us updated.
I'll keep you updated. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go
Because
into
this one,
something that.
if this is a concern for that, it might be a concern for others.
I would like to
Yes.
see meeting adjourned. Can I get a motion? Second? All in favor?